He's a playmaker and a shot caller. In case you didn't know, I got Tebow. He shatters the mold, and all he does is win. All he does is win games. I got Tebow. He shatters the mold, and all he does is win. All he does is unleash.
Tebow, let him go.
Time.
Turn him loose.
Let him play. Let him play.
On Sunday.
Unleash.
Tebow, let him go.
Time.
Turn him loose.
Let him play.
I'm going to church Sunday.
We're on task. I think that's my game.
I didn't agree with that.
I'm Coach John Owen. He's rewriting the book.
He did it, we got him.
He's a unit.
That's what Tim Tebow's all about.
He's a gamer. He's a caller. Playmaker. Shot caller. He's a gamer. He's a caller. Playmaker. Shot caller. Unleash.
Tim Tebow, let him go.
Time.
Turn him loose.
Let him play. Let him play.
On Sunday.
And all he does is win. All he does is win.
One more day, one more win.
All he does is win games.
Yeah, just backing off. And,
By the way, it was
play that.
not my idea to play that.
And, well, of course it wasn't your idea. No one.
No, I will acknowledge. I've always been on the record. Listen, I love what they did with mine. It's so disrespectful, but that's always been my favorite. That's the one thing I did like about Tebow.
And you dance when it's on.
Unleash Tim Tebow.
There you go.
It's time. Let him play.
Well, speaking of winning, he is still winning. This just in. Yesterday, Yahoo in being released their top searches for 2013. Tim Tebow, top search, ahead of Tiger Woods and Danica Patrick. Your thoughts on that?
Totally understand. We know where Danica Patrick and Tiger Woods are. We can't find Tebow. It makes perfect sense. When you're going online, what are you doing? Whether it's Google or anything else, you're looking for something. We don't have to look for Tiger. We don't have to look for Danica Patrick. We don't have to look for Tiger Woods. We know where they are. We don't know where Tim Tebow is. Makes perfect sense. Him being number one in this category, absolutely understandable.
That's all you got to say?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know where he's at. I'm like, where is he?
Kerry Champion, who was the top search team?
Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
So, Stephen A. Smith, the point here is...
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there you go.
I didn't know
now
that.
we're getting down to the nitty-gritty.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Please.
Tim Tebow, clearly to me, is the individual version of the Dallas Cowboys. Tim Tebow is still intensely loved by millions of people. We can talk about why in a moment. He is also intensely despised by millions and millions of people, equally despised, including the ringleader of said group.
I do not despise Tim Tebow. That's cool.
Okay.
That's cool. He's a good kid. I do not feel that way about him. That's not true.
He is intensely loved, obviously, by some as a player, as a role model, as a religious figure. But here's the fascination that became Tim Tebow. You say you search because you don't know what happened. Well, that's it. There are a lot of on-the-fence Tim Tebow people. A lot of people who are only moderately interested in Tebow as a religious figure or even as a player. But they wonder, what the heck just happened? Because I would submit to you, and you always speak about how long I've covered the National Football League. I'll just go all sports. I've never in my career seen a phenomenon quite like this. A kid comes along early in his NFL career and has, even you would have to admit, sensational success. I'm just talking about one-loss success. Can he throw? Can he not? I don't care. He won football games. He took a 1-4 team. This is the last time I'm going to say this. 7 out of 8 he won to start off with. They won the AFC West. Shocking. They beat the number 1 ranked defense of the Pittsburgh Steelers in a playoff game. Shocking. And just a year later, this kid is out of football. How could that happen? 50 years from now, people will look back and they'll say, wow, did that Tebow guy have a career-ending injury? No. Did he have off-the-field problems? No. Did he talk his way out of the NFL? No, he never said anything. In fact, he was the worst interview in the league to me. Just he worked at saying nothing. So what the heck happened? Well, my theory is somehow he got to be too big for his own good. He became such a media phenomenon, not all of his fault, but some his fault, that he became too big for NFL teams to even take a shot at because they feared if they bring him in, A, he's too big a distraction, and B, if he doesn't pan out, we're going to have a hard time benching him because there'll be an uproar and an outcry from the Tebow zealots out there. Okay, I get that. But in the big picture, I still look back even this year, okay, just in the big picture, in a vacuum. I look at Geno Smith with the Jets. Would Tim Tebow have been better? Yeah, he would have been a little better. I think he would have won more games for the Jets, who obviously had him, and you even agreed with me. They sabotaged him. They never really gave him a shot last year.
Totally agree with that.
Okay? Jacksonville, home area, hometown, if you will, had multiple shots at him. Again, Tim had a shot to choose Jacksonville when he chose the Jets. But I was told that Rex Ryan wooed him on a phone call and said, Tim, love you, you're a gamer, you have all the intangibles we need, I will give you a 50-50 shot at winning the job from Mark Sanchez. I don't think he got any shot to win that job. Is that his fault? No. And then with New England, I thought Tim was just terrible. I thought he regressed as a passer. I don't know if the pressure got too great, but again, it's pretty shocking when you stand back from this and say, he's now out of the league after what he did for a bad Denver Broncos team 2 years ago?
Skip Bayless. I had fun with the Tebow subject. It's going to go on a little bit longer than anticipated, but it needs to, because I need to be serious here. And don't take anything that I say ultra sensitive, because I'm dead serious about it, but it's not an insult at all. But we have to be real and real honest about this. Skip Bayless, there are two people responsible for what happened, to some degree anyway, to Tim Tebow. To a lesser degree, you, and to a large degree, Tim Tebow. To the lesser degree that is you, when we talk about the media circus, you are a staunch supporter, and no matter how much I've ridiculed you, when I've been on the national airwaves, whether it's here or radios or all the stuff, I always sit there and tell people, you mean everything that you say, and you can back up your arguments with Tebow better than anybody else.
Can I make a quick point before you proceed?
Sure.
I didn't jump on the Tim Tebow bandwagon. I helped build it before the draft.
Exactly. And by the way, I've always said that. I've never said that it was something that you got, the Tebow thing came when he got a Denver. No. You were saying this before he got drafted. But the point that I'm trying to make to you is that it helped balloon the phenomenon.
It did.
Tim Tebow.
I'll buy that.
And it helped feed the zealots, which was a turnoff for teams that don't want the circus.
I agree.
Now, to a larger degree is Tim Tebow. Not just because he couldn't throw, and I maintain that. That's my position. He can't throw. Kerry Champion, he can't throw. In America, he can't throw. Skip Bayless, the man can't throw. Okay, but here's the biggest problem. Here's the biggest problem, Skip. And it's not been said by anybody but me, but I'm going to say it again. And I mean this with all due respect to Tim Tebow and his wonderful family. When it comes to the sport of football, everything that we talk about as it pertains to the character of Tim Tebow goes right out the window when it comes to football. As a human being, is top-notch. As a football player, he epitomized selfishness. And I'm going to tell you why. Because he would still be in the NFL today if he had the same mentality as that kid, Denard Robinson out of Michigan, had when he came on this show, when he said, whatever it takes to stay in the league. Tim Tebow publicly insisted he was not interested in anything but being a quarterback in the NFL. And as a result of that, you have teams that look at you and say, okay, can you throw the football? Or are we going to have to modify everything that we do just to facilitate you doing what works for you? And it may help us win games, but we've got wide receivers and running back, everybody else to consider, and we're not willing to do that. All I mean by the selfishness is that Tim Tebow, the hiring of William Morris, and he had two agencies representing him.
I did not love that.
You didn't love that. The attention that he was garnering, whether it was indirectly or through his family, the kind of stuff that he brought to himself to reap the monetary benefits of his popularity in that offseason after he won that playoff game against Pittsburgh. He was milking it for all it was worth, and he contributed to the circus that became Tim Tebow in that year with the New York Jets. I still believe the Jets sabotaged him, especially bringing Tony Sparano in as your offensive coordinator when he clearly wasn't qualified for that job. But in the end, Tim Tebow did a lot of this to himself. And Skip, I dare say, by you especially, that's not said enough. He brought a lot of this on himself.
Okay, I agree with your big picture, but I do not agree with your small, selfish point. small picture point. That is completely unfair and inaccurate about Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow was one of the most decorated college passers in college football history, statistically. I'm just talking about the numbers. They're some of the greatest long-term college numbers you can find as a passer, all the way down to his final Orange Bowl game when he threw for 408
I'm sorry to interject. Just for clarity purposes, are you saying you disagree with me saying he
that he should have stayed at some other position?
Okay.
He's not capable of playing another position, and he believes in all of his heart and all of his soul that he's a quarterback. And he proved to you he can win games as a quarterback. I don't blame him a bit for saying, I don't want to play tight end. I don't want to play fullback. And you brought up Denard Robinson. Denard Robinson is twice as fast as Tim Tebow and about half the size of Tim Tebow. So Denard was a really poor thrower of the football at Michigan. I'm sorry, he threw punts. You know, sometimes his guys caught him, sometimes they didn't. He just couldn't throw a lick. Tim Tebow could definitely throw a lick in college.
But I'm not comparing his skill set to Denard Robinson. I'm comparing the mentality and the approach. I'm saying that we're talking about people going online and searching, looking for Tim Tebow in terms of where he's at. I'm simply saying, Skip, what is wrong with you being in the NFL, hell-bent on becoming a quarterback, but still remaining in an NFL uniform?
Doing what?
What could you do? Working on your craft. Working on your craft.
Doing what?
Working on your craft. Whatever it takes.
He's not fast enough to be a tight end.
Whatever it takes. Give a coach the option of trying to figure it out, as opposed to you being defiant and saying, I'm not playing for your team unless I can be quarterback, when they don't believe you can throw.
And have some pride. I mean, he thinks in his heart he proved he could throw.
Okay.
Well, I mean, again, I'm going to throw the stat at you one more time. Last 5 minutes of games, the 1 year he got to start, #1 QBR in football. You can't do it if you can't throw.
I just don't want to hear that from you, because you repeatedly talk about the eye test, and the eye test shows me he can't throw.
The eye test told me he could win football games in the NFL because the scoreboard kept telling me.
Running the football from behind center, not throwing.
No, I mean, you got to run the spread option, and a lot of teams don't want to run the spread option.
No other NFL player ranked in the top 10 searched athlete on Yahoo's